Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur.
Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur.
Dhruvam janma mritasya cha.
Dhruvam janma mritasya cha.
Tasmada pariharyerte.
Tasmada pariharyerte.
Natvam sochitamarhasi.
Natvam sochitamarhasi. Word meaning?
Word meanings. Jatasya.
Jatasya.
One who has taken his birth.
Who has taken his birth.
He certainly.
Certainly.
Dhruvaha.
Dhruvaha.
A fact. Mrityuhu.
Mrityuhu.
Death. Dhruvam. It is also a fact. Janma. Birth. Mritasya. Of the dead. Cha. Also. Tasmat. Therefore, apariharye, for that which is unavoidable, arte, in the matter of, na, do not, tvam, you, sochitum, to lament, arhasi, deserve. Translation. For one who has taken his birth, death is certain, and for one who is dead, birth is certain. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament.
So, it doesn't mean that someone dies. This is not a contradiction. Here, it means when one dies, or when one leaves the body, it's called death. Actually, it's not death, because the soul never dies. And the body was never born, so it can't die either. But still, in common terminology, it's called death. But here, one who's dead means one who's left the body. Everyone who leaves their body does not cease to exist. They still exist. If you've ever been to a funeral, you know that people are crying, people are feeling lamentation for the lost loved one. But the fact is, that loved one is still living. He's not died. He's in a different situation. What does Krishna say? For one who is dead?
For one who has taken his birth, death is certain.
Yeah, and the next?
And for one who is dead, birth is certain.
Birth. So he's taken his birth. He's been put into another body, according to his desire and his karma. So if someone leaves your house, you don't lament, you don't break down and cry. If you do, someone will say, why are you crying? You say, well, such and such person, he left my house. I say, yes, but he's driving somewhere, he's going somewhere, he's in another building, he's still existing. Children have difficulty realizing this. When their parents or friends leave, they just think that they're gone. So the parents explain, no, he's okay. You'll see him again. He's still living. That's the fact. The soul that leaves the body doesn't cease to exist. It's a different energy. We have the energies that we're familiar with in this world are all temporary. Earth is changing. Water is changing. It becomes sometimes evaporated, sometimes it mixes with other things. It's always changing every moment. Fire is changing. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, changing. But the spirit soul, the Atma, doesn't go through any changes. It's permanent. It's eternal. It never breaks into pieces. It never becomes affected by time. Everything else that we experience in this world is affected by time. A building begins depreciating the moment you build it. An automobile begins depreciating. If you don't believe it, purchase a vehicle and see if you can sell it for the same amount in 2 years. Just leave it. Let it sit there. They'll say, no, you can't sell it for the same price. Why? Well, it's depreciated. That means time has affected it. So time is a factor that affects everything in the material world, but it doesn't affect the soul. The spiritual being is not affected by time. He doesn't grow old. Sometimes people would say to Prabhupada, well, perhaps I can give you my young body for your old body. He said, no, we're all eternally young. Nobody gets old. Nobody's young. We're all eternally fresh. Purport.
One who has to take birth according to one's activities of life.
So this is an important point. If we're convinced that we're not this body and we're the spirit soul within the body within the body is very small, infinitesimal, invisible to us. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist, just like each of us has a mind. Have any of you ever seen a mind? Nobody's ever seen a mind. But you can't say that, well, I've never seen it, therefore I don't believe it exists. No, I have my mind. We can't see it. Even the best medical equipment cannot see the mind. They cannot give you a form of the mind. But yet, everyone agrees that the mind exists. So if the mind exists and we can't see it, what to speak of the soul, which is far more subtle still? It's not visible, but we can tell it's there because when the soul is present, then the body has consciousness. In a similar way, when the driver of an airplane, a pilot is there, the plane does so many things. Flies, produces light, energy. But when the pilot is out, that airplane will sit there for years and years and years and deteriorate, decompose. Won't do anything. So it's the driver, it's the soul that is the important feature. But in our materialistic society, we give very little importance to finding out the soul, or what the soul is, or who the soul is, or what the soul needs. And we give almost all of our attention to trying to please the body. How can you please the body? Body is not conscious. You can please the person who's the owner of the body, or you can please the person who's the driver of the body, but you can't actually please the body because it's not conscious. It's not a person. Sometimes we say that. We say, my vehicle doesn't want to go over here today. We use personal terms to describe the car, but actually we all know it doesn't have volition like a living entity has volition. It doesn't have feelings. But living entities do. There's a difference, for example, between a cat and a car. If you kick the car and bash the side panel, there's no pain for the car. But the driver of the car, he feels pain. If someone goes in, if you're in a restaurant and they come in and say, somebody just smashed in your panel of your car, he feels pain. He can't even eat. He gets up, runs out, he's in such pain. But the car feels no pain. But a cat, because the cat has its vehicle, if someone pinches the cat, then the soul inside the cat body feels pain. Just like if someone pinches my body, the soul inside my body feels the pain. Because of the connection, the consciousness connection between the spirit soul and the body. There's a connection. As long as that connection's there, I can feel every part of my body. If my toe, way down there, has some problem with it, I feel it. And a side point here is that we can only feel the pains and pleasures of our own body. We don't feel the pains and pleasures of those in another body. But Krishna is called, he's the Kshetragya, he's the knower of all bodies. We know our own body, pains and pleasures, but he knows all bodies. He's super soul. He's, along with the individual soul, he's in every body, every chicken, every horse, every plant, every human, every demigod. He's there as the friend of the soul. If you're going on a journey, you like to take your friend with you, especially your best friend. If he says, I'll come along with you, make sure nothing happens bad to you. Say, oh, great. I'll be happy to have my friend with me. So we can be satisfied that although we're in this foreign body, which is not really us, and it's like a robot suit, we're in this robot suit and it's very problematic. It comes with diseases and it stops working and it's got so many problems. Even it's got mental problems, this robot. It's one thing to have a robot, but another thing to have a robot with mental problems. You know, you'd say, okay, robot, I have my, what's it called? Remote control. I'm going to have you walk across. He said, well, today I just don't feel like it. I don't want to get someone else. So this body has got not only the gross elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, but it's also got subtle elements, mind, intelligence, and false ego. So it's a foreign model. It's not us, really. It doesn't really suit us. And that's why sometimes when people get very disturbed, they say, I'm not feeling comfortable in this body. People are feeling like this more and more, not feeling comfortable in these bodies. Well, that's not actually such a bad thing if one takes it in a positive way. If we're not feeling comfortable in this body, then why don't we find out our real body, our eternal body? That's the spiritual body. We can't be comfortable in this body because Soul is meant to be free. Soul is not to be forced to live in a robot that's falling apart and has mental problems. Spiritual form. Hitva rupam anyata rupam svarupena vivastiti. Real liberation means to be reestablished in one's spiritual form, spiritual body. Someone may say, I don't believe in spiritual bodies because I've never seen one. Again, the eyes. We're so attached to seeing things. This is the show me state. Everyone knows, the locals know that. Show me state means that the Missourians are famous for not accepting things just on word. You may say something and they say, okay, you say you can do this, show me. Then I'll believe you. I'm not believing until I see it. I was thinking the other day that may be one of the reasons why Missourians are taking their time about taking up Krishna consciousness. Maybe they're waiting for us to show something more than we've shown so far. We should take it as a transcendental challenge that we have to show them more aspects of Krishna consciousness, not just a little temple on Paseo, but maybe we have to interact with them more and give them a chance to taste more prasadam, hear more philosophy. So many things. Krishna consciousness has got multi-facets, millions of angles to be presented. It's like if we have a drama troupe, we can have theater. If we have a farm, we can have an eco-village. We can produce our own food. If we have cows, we can have our own ahimsa milk so the cows don't undergo any suffering, which most cows do in this society. So many things. If we have a school, we can invite children to come, bring their families, give them education from the beginning in transcendental knowledge so they don't go through their lives ignorant. Most of us were raised in a situation where we were ignorant as children of who we were, what the purpose of life was. We were taught that the purpose of life is just to enjoy for now. Who can say that's not the mood? That's what we're taught. Just enjoy for yourself. Don't put any time or very little time into trying to understand deep questions like, who am I? Why am I here? What's the purpose of life? Who's God? What's God? What happens after death? Generally, most children, if you ask them what happens after death, they haven't been taught a very substantial information. But that's important. The Vedas say that Guru na sasyad, svajano na sasyad, napati na sasyan, namatir na sasyan, mochayat samupechu mrityum. If you're going to be a mother or a father, or a guru, or a teacher, or a king, you should know how to guide and protect those who are under your care. And that means giving them knowledge. If you don't teach your children how to cross streets properly, you've done a great disservice. You don't deserve to be a parent. And the government will take the children away from you if they see you did not train them properly. Unfortunately, in society, we're not training the children how to cross over this ocean of material existence. How do we cross over this vast ocean of material existence? By taking shelter of Krishna. That's the only way you'll get across this ocean. It's too vast. You can't swim across the ocean. Even if you win 4 gold medals in swimming, you won't be able to swim across even the Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean, what to speak of the ocean of material existence. But we're thinking somehow or other we'll be able to swim across. I'm a good swimmer. No. Or, it's all humorous. Vedas have humor also. It's not that Krishna consciousness is just sobriety and stoicism and no humor. There's humor. For example, it says that if you want to cross the ocean, if you think, well, there's a dog, he can swim, I'll grab onto his tail and he'll pull me over. He'll pull me across the ocean. That's like holding on to the tail of some so-called teacher who's not qualified. I'll hold on to him, he'll take me across. How can he take you across? Dog can swim. Not very well. Certainly not well enough to pull somebody. He can't even go across the ocean himself. What to speak of if you hold onto his tail. So be careful about holding onto the tail of those who can't take you across the ocean. We need Krishna to take us across the ocean. Samashita ye parapallavaplavam mahatpavam punya yisho murari bhavambudir vatsapadam padam padam yadvipadam natesham. We need Krishna to take us across. Or Krishna's representative, same thing. Same thing, because the Krishna's representative is at the lotus feet of Krishna. So although he's not all-powerful, Krishna is all-powerful. They say it's not what you know, but who you know. If you know someone who's connected to Krishna, and you connect to him, then you're fine. You're safe.
And after finishing one term of activities, one has to die to take birth for the next.
Now, we're speaking about death, and sometimes when you speak about death, people say, oh, it's too morbid, I don't want to discuss death. But this is not morbid. This is teaching you that there is no such thing as death. This is teaching you that you were thinking that you're going to die, but you're not. The soul doesn't die. The soul is everlasting. So you should be happy. This is a class in death that is not morbid. It should bring about joy for you, because now you realize, I'm not going to die. I'm going to live forever. If you believe that, what will happen if you believe that? Let's say you didn't believe that before. You thought you were an old man. You thought you had cancer, and they told you only had about 14 days to live, and you were just really distraught. And someone said, everything's changed. You're not going to die. And not only that, but you're not going to grow any older. You're going to get a spiritual body. Brahmabhuta prasanatma. Brahmabhuta. When you realize Brahma, spiritual knowledge, then you become prasanatma, happy. No more death, no more old age, no more disease. What's there to worry about? Anyone have some things? If you don't have to worry about old age, disease, and death, what do you have to worry about? Who said something? Everybody's shy in Kansas City.
There are many other problems in life.
Like
not
what?
just- Not just these relationship problems.
Relationship. You have eternity. What's your relationship problem? Because you're trying to relate with a body that's temporary. You fell in love with a body that didn't have a soul. Is that the relationship problem? Of course you're going to have a problem. If you fall in love with a mannequin, imagine you fall in love with a mannequin, and you go back and your parents say, "What's wrong, George?" "Well, I fell in love with this mannequin, and I don't know how the relationship's going to work." That's a problem. But that's ignorance. So in other words, relationship problems can be solved with knowledge. You fell in love with the body, not the person. And you fell in love with a person that is not able to reciprocate with you. Love means for Krishna. So relationship problems are solved when you find out the real love. Do you want a lover, a friend? What type of relationship are you interested in? Lover, friend, servant, parent?
All of this.
Well, which one are you most disturbed about first?
Friend.
Friend. Krishna is the best friend. Such a good friend. Arjuna accepts Krishna as the best friend. All the coward boys. And as we discussed before, who's a better friend than who goes with you through all the different species of life you have, all the changes of body? What other friend will go with you? Ask any of your friends from, where are you from?
India.
I know India, but which part?
Hyderabad.
Ask your friends in Hyderabad if they'll go with you wherever you travel. Birth after birth, they won't go. They'll say, "Well, I'll pick and choose. Sometimes I'll go with you." But Krishna goes. Even when the living entity is in the body of a worm, Krishna is there with him. That's a friend. So whatever relationship problem you have, friend, Krishna. And what else?
Lover.
Lover, Krishna. Krishna is the perfect lover for the gopis. But you'll have one domineering relationship. That main relationship should be with Krishna. And the other relationships can be with Krishna's associates. For example, if Krishna is your friend, like Arjuna, he's known as Krishna Saka, Krishna's friend. So for him, Krishna is everything as a friend. But Arjuna still has his wife, and the wife is perfect. Perfect relationship because they both accept Krishna. So you'll have your primary relationship with Krishna, and then all the other relationships will be with Krishna devotees. It's perfect. All your problems are solved. All your relationship problems are solved. So whatever problems we have are because we're in ignorance. We're thinking we're this body, we don't know about Krishna. How can we be happy in this world if we don't know about Krishna, if we don't know about our soul, about who we are? How is it possible? How could you live being completely ignorant of all the laws of nature? It's like putting a little child who's completely ignorant, putting them in the middle of a freeway and say, "Have a good time, kid." He has no idea where to go. He's in complete danger. Padam padam yadvi padam natesham. There's danger at every step in the material world. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, "Alas for those who spend their days in festive mirth and joy, the dazzling, deadly liquid forms their hearts for employ." He goes on and he says, "So take thy post in spirit world as firmly as you can." He says, the part I was interested in was, let never matter push you down. defend against an evil deed. What is it? Anyway. Protect you. So in other words, danger means there's danger of evil deeds at every place, every moment. We are susceptible to fall into prey of evil deeds, evil thoughts, evil actions. Everywhere we go. Even if we're at home, we may think, oh, I'm at home now, no evil can approach me. We can be approached by evil thoughts, evil desires. So that's the material world. We have to transcend that danger. How do we transcend that danger? Bhajahure mana shinandanandana abhaya charanado vindore. By taking shelter of the fearless feet of the lotus feet of Krishna. Because at his lotus feet there's no fear. No evil deed can approach. No evil activities. That's why we want to stay in Krishna's association. No dangers. He protects us. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted a song when he would go out chanting, Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam. He's saying, my dear Krishna, my dear Rama, please protect me. We need protection.
In this way, the cycle of birth and death is revolving, one after the other, without liberation.
Without what?
Without liberation.
Liberation. Yes. This is not Stevie Wonder. Some of you may have heard of him. He's a famous musician. He was driving down the street one day in Hollywood. He heard the chanting party, the Hare Krishna chanting party. He invited the devotees to come and sing on one of his songs. His album was Songs in the Key of Life. And he had the devotees chant Hare Krishna, and it was very nice. And he learned some things from the Vedas, from Prabhupada, that this is not the first time we've been around in this world. It's not the first time we've lived. We've had many different bodies. Sometimes as human, sometimes as a subhuman, sometimes demigod. And the cycle just keeps going on without liberation unless we learn the art of getting liberated from the cycle of birth and death. If you were told by authoritative source that you're going to live and you're going to have many bodies according to your desires, wouldn't you think, well, what type of bodies can I get? And then you would be informed that, well, you could get, there's 8,400,000 material forms, and then there's many spiritual forms, at least as many. And you might say, spiritual forms, material forms, I didn't know that there were two kinds. Yes, material forms are the ones we see here, and the spiritual forms are the ones in the spiritual world, where Krishna lives. When Krishna comes to this planet, when he comes to the material world, he comes from Goloka, and he brings residents from Goloka and paraphernalia from Goloka, like Govardhan Hill, Yamuna River. These are all persons, but they're also mountains and rivers and land. The land of Vrindavan comes with him. So he gives us a full environmental experience of the spiritual world when he comes. And we have that recorded in the Vedas by Srila Vyasadeva. He records the activities of Krishna. So those who were there, of course, they got the benefit of seeing Krishna and being with Krishna. We were not there, or maybe we were there. Some of us may have been there, some may not. But anyway, we're here now, and we're caught in the trap of Maya. But by hearing about Krishna's activities on earth, it's as good as hearing about Krishna's activities in the spiritual world, because it's a facsimile. It's a replica. So we become purified by hearing about Krishna's activities, and then we become qualified. We become purified. It's like medicine. Einechio Shadi Maya Nashi Barolagi Harinama Maha Mantra Lau Tumi Magi. The chanting of the Maha Mantra, Krishna's names and Krishna's glories, is the medicine that will cure our disease of Maya, illusion. We're an illusion. We think we're the body. We think we're something that we're not. We think we can be happy in this material world, and we cannot. And you say, well, maybe I cannot, but if I were someone famous, well, I know someone famous. Frank Sinatra was really famous some years ago. You've heard of him. And when he was in his last days, he put up a billboard in Hollywood. I saw the billboard. It said, I'm willing to give half of my estate to anyone who can help me overcome death. He wasn't happy about dying. The thought of dying made him very unhappy. He was wealthy, famous, he had everything, but he didn't like dying. So everyone's got problems here. Even if you become wealthy or famous or beautiful, it doesn't mean you won't have problems. But if you become self-realized, spiritual consciousness, Krishna conscious, then there's no problems. And even death, so-called death, is like being moved, like a little kitten is picked up by the mother cat. The mother cat picks up the kitten, brings it over here. The kitten doesn't feel any pain. It's a painless experience. In fact, she likes it. Kitten likes being carried by the mother. Any discussion on these points? Any questions?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. You mentioned several times that we must surrender to Krishna and chant His holy name and glorify Him, and to cross the ocean, material ocean of suffering. And about other problems we have, you mentioned Krishna several times. But we haven't seen Krishna, so it would be difficult to surrender someone we haven't seen. And we have seen Guru Maharaj, who is a representative of Krishna. So wouldn't it be more easier or more proper to surrender to Guru Maharaj and get the same result?
That's a nice question, yes. We haven't seen Krishna, but we can see his representative. And if we follow the instructions of his representative, which are the same as his own instructions, then Krishna will reveal himself to us. We'll be able to see Krishna through the spiritual master. The spiritual master is like glasses. When we have bad eyesight, we look and we see everything blurred. Someone says, what do you think of this painting? You say, it's blurred. But then if you have nice, good glasses, put on, whoa, it's a beautiful painting. Then you're able to see everything nicely. The spiritual master is like that. He takes our deficient eyes and he acts as a transparent via media to help us see the most attractive object, Krishna, that we weren't able to see by ourselves. So he's in between, but he's not. The glasses are our best friend, they're not our enemy. You may say, oh, these glasses, they keep getting in the way of between me and beautiful things. It's not true. They're actually bringing those beautiful things to you, making it easier for you to experience and have a relationship with those beautiful persons and beautiful things. Okay?
So, is it, since we haven't seen Krishna, if we also want to surrender to Krishna, we haven't seen, is there a way to do that too?
Yeah, both. Surrender to Krishna and Krishna's representative at the same time. It's not that they're in competition. The spiritual master is not trying, he doesn't have his own business on the side. Someone comes and says, I want to find out about Krishna. You say, no, maybe you'd like to find out more about me over here. I have my own little business. No. He's completely representative of Krishna. So even if he's there with you, he'll bring you to introduce you to Krishna. He's there, and he won't interfere with the relationship. He'll only help you. He brings you to Krishna. He doesn't take you away from Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So on one hand, you were saying that we shouldn't panic too much or worry about being dead, because we're not actually gonna die, because we're the soul. So we are always gonna be existing. On the other hand, what if people thinks, okay, well, we're not gonna die, we're eternal, we're souls, and why worry about what's gonna happen with our life? Let's go on living our life, do what we gotta do with this body. We're gonna get a new one after all. What would you say to that?
Yeah, that's true, but you don't die, but still you have some choice. It's not like you have no free choice. It's not like everything is predetermined. That's what makes it exciting. It's exciting because you can decide what you want to do, and you will get the results according to your activities. That's the way God has made it. God didn't make it that everyone already has their predestined, their code is punched in, and you have no choice in the matter. Now I do this, now I do that. Sometimes people say, I'll surrender to Krishna when I'm supposed to surrender, or when Krishna wants. No, Krishna wants you to surrender to him now. Not in 50,000 lifetimes from now. He wants you, but it's up to you. So, according to our activities and our choices, we take the responsibility for those actions. Just like, for example, a good parent teaches his children, you have to live your life in this circumstance here, but the choices you make will be your responsibility. As you sow, so shall you reap. If you perform a crime, you'll be put in prison, and prison is not a very happy place to be. And you'll say, well, why not? What's wrong with prison? What is prison? And then they'll explain to you what prison is, and you'll think, wow, I'm in a cell, there's no freedom, so I don't want that. If you don't want that, then these are the things that you shouldn't do, which would have caused you to be in a circumstance which is unpleasant. So yes, you're going to live eternally, but would you rather live eternally under a rock? If you go outside and you pull up a big rock from a moist area, so many little creatures down there, they all start moving. And would you like to be one of those? Or how would you like to be a tree for 5,000 years in the same place? Would you like that? You say, no, I wouldn't like to be a tree because now I know how to talk and I know how to walk, I've experienced. And if I have the choice, I'd rather be able to talk and walk and maybe fly and maybe do other things. Okay, that's good. Now you're talking. That's intelligent. But if you behave in a certain way, it will qualify you to become a tree. Then you'll have to take the responsibility to be in a tree's body. And that's not pleasant. So use your intelligence how to act in such a way that will bring you the most pleasure, and most importantly, bring Krishna the most pleasure, because Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. Everything is meant to please him. So if you act to please him, that's very intelligent. Then you'll be happy the most. You could say, someone could say, well, look, you say you're happy, that's fine. But I say those little bugs under the rock, they're also happy. So we accept that they have some happiness living under the rock, but not as much happiness as dancing with Krishna. Dancing with Krishna is more pleasing than staying under a rock. There's different levels of happiness. Anamoya, Pranamoya, Manamoya, Jnanamoya, and Anandamoya. The ultimate pleasure is to be with Krishna. Did I answer your question? Okay. Have a few minutes more, yes?
Hare Krishna. My question is, Maharaj, you mentioned that when someone dies, we shouldn't lament because they are not really dead. But when we are born and we are raised by our family and we get married, we have children, husband, that attachment automatically comes. So like if someone is dying, it's hard to not be attached and be so detached and think, okay, well, he's not dying, he's going to live. But for someone who's not a devotee, to explain to them, oh, I'm not going to be upset if you're dying because, you're not really dying. So that thing makes me look like, oh, you don't care, you're ruthless. Or how do you explain that?
Yeah, good question, yeah. But we see that, no, the knowledge has to be there. Ignorance is not a substitute for knowledge. That ignorance is bliss. That's not true. So you don't want to go towards ignorance. That I don't want to know about the soul and that they're living, because then I'll be heartless and I'll be ruthless and I won't be loving and I won't care and I won't be, what's the word? Empathetic. I won't be empathetic and I won't be loving and I won't care. I'll be heartless. No. Actually, we see that one who has perfect knowledge is also the most loving, the most caring, he's the dear friend, because he has knowledge. He can tell you what's really going to happen. He can give benefits for that person more than just tears. When someone's about to leave their body, your tears are nice, but you know what's nicer than your tears? The Maha Mantra. When you're there giving them the holy name, that's the best thing you can give them. You're giving them Krishna. I just got a letter today. Some young man and young woman, her mother was passing away. And they were with her, and there was chanting going on. They were chanting Hare Krishna. And the mother was not a devotee, but she got the benefit of her children who were devotees and their chanting. She was hearing the chanting in association with devotees. So she left her body in that environment. Who could ask for more than that? That's real friendship. That's real love. Simply crying in tears, it's nice. Everybody cries tears when their loved ones pass away. But those who give them Krishna's lotus feet, that's the real gift. And then you'll meet with them when you're back to Krishna, they'll be there too. So that's eternal pleasure. Why are you only attached to being with them in this body, which is temporary? Why don't you be with them eternally in the spiritual body with Krishna, the spiritual world? Help them go back to Krishna. It's not so difficult. Antakale tu purusha agate gata sadvasaha chinjada sangashastrena sprihe dehe nuyechitam. One should be bold enough at the time of death not to think he's his body, to give up attachment to the body, the home, the family, the country, everything, and take shelter of Krishna. Cut off all desires. That's with knowledge, not ignorance. Ignorance means one's crying, thinking, I want to be in this body, I want another body. That's not good. That's not the best thing for your loved one. If you say, don't worry, you'll keep living, you'll get another body. Of course, if they have that knowledge, the education should take place also before leaving the body, not just right at the last moment. Shouldn't leave it just to the last moment when we're on the final moment, then bring in okay, let's have the class now. That's a difficult time for the class to begin. So the preliminary education should start Komara achare pragyo dharmam bhagavataniha. Komara means the age of 5. Education should begin by then in the Gurukula. And they learn all these things in the Gurukula. They learn that you're not the body. You ask any child who's been through Gurukula, they know that.
So my mother, who's 78 and is not a devotee and talks about death all the time, like she's going to die.
Say again a little slower.
My mother is 78 and she's not a devotee and she talks about dying all the time. How do I explain to her that you're not the body? She won't accept that. So what do you do with that?
Well, does she like to discuss philosophy?
Not at all.
Oh. Does she like to eat?
She eats meat.
No, give her prasadam.
She won't eat it.
Then you have to pretend that it's not prasadam. If your child won't take the medicine, you give the child the medicine. The child's in a very critical situation, needs medicine. So you say, here, take this nice medicine. They say, no. Doctor says you have to give the medicine to the child. So you put the medicine in something the child likes. Say, here it is, this is what you like. Not medicine. Child eats it and gets well. That's love. Does she like music?
No, she doesn't like anything related to
No, I didn't say related to any particular
she likes
person.
Bollywood music.
I'll give you one album for her. You can play. I have one album. Different Hare Krishna mantras, songs. If she won't take it, then there's so many ways to, there's prasadam, there's just your association, the fact that she's associating with you in your proximity because you're a devotee and you're her relative. Even if she won't take anything, you're a devotee, and Krishna gives rewards to his devotees that all of their family members for 21 generations forward and backwards get liberated. That can be millions of people connected to a pure devotee. So just become a pure devotee yourself, and she'll get back to Krishna. Okay? Okay, we have time for another question.
Good evening, Maharaj. I've been kind of like thinking, you know how we do harinams down on the plaza and trying to reach out to other people and the like. Why is it that some are, is it all Hare Krishna that don't, you know, have like a community that, say like somebody's in the hospital, one of the bhaktas, or there are people who are in prison who want to know more about the Hare Krishna movement. Say they ran across the book, Chant and Be Happy. I'm just wondering, does the Hare Krishna movement actually do some of these things?
Yeah.
I know it's an off question, but I like helping out other people.
Yeah, we have several different prison ministries.
Really?
Oh yes. We have thousands of people in prisons that are being cultivated with devotees in their different areas, regularly going programs, sending books, providing courses, coming as now they're becoming, what do you call it, chaplains for prisons, schools, hospital. There's plenty of room for expansion. It's not, we haven't done everything. We're a small number of people.
Yeah, yeah.
But we are certainly enthusiastic about spreading Krishna consciousness as many ways as you can possibly imagine. So if you have some nice idea like that, you have some energy you'd like to put into it. I think there's a big Leavenworth is not too far away.
Yeah, prison in Leavenworth, and I was wondering, is there several bhaktas that go out there, or, you know, even bhaktins?
Or maybe even some inside there.
I mean, we have to be more sociable, because despite the technology and the like, a lot of people these days are putting their head into their phones and not really talking to people anymore. They're thinking, oh, well, this person has done this bad thing, so totally forget about them when they're in prison. You think that really helps? That really doesn't. That just degrades your soul that Krishna wants to enlighten.
Well, I think that there's good facility, and you can discuss with Sridhama if you have some time and energy to put into this project. It's a nice idea. And going and chanting with, yesterday we were at the hospital chanting to some devotees who were in the hospital. So it's a wonderful place to chant because everybody there is a little bit more sober, not so much into the enjoying spirit, but maybe a little more thoughtful. So hospitals are great, prisons are great, schools are great, everywhere is great. There was, when I was in Los Angeles, we used to have senior citizens. At that time, I was a junior citizen. So but senior citizens would come in busloads every year from a certain group. And we would entertain them and give them a whole program of Krishna consciousness, ending with a feast and chanting and discussion. So many of them they said afterwards that we would like to join you. They'd rather be in the association of devotees than the association they were in. So that's another field. Senior citizens, they're very eager to get this kind of Krishna conscious association. And eventually we'll work towards that. The movement is expanding, and more different aspects are opening up all over the world. So I think you'll be happy with if you learn about the world outreach programs of Krishna consciousness, I think you'd be satisfied that a lot is being done and there's plenty of scope for more.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gaura Nitai ki jai. Om Vishnu Padaya.